Howdy folks, No Man's Sky has seen over 24 titled updates since it launched in 2016. Most of those updates brought new tech for players to equip and upgrade. At this point, I imagine it could be a bit overwhelming for a new player to figure out which tech upgrades to invest in and which to pass on. While there are endless possibilities for builds catered to different playstyles, I'm compiling this list for folks looking to hop from planet to planet, exploring the stars. I'm Kanaju. These are 10 must-have technologies for every explorer. For this list, I'm also avoiding the overly obvious options. Obviously, everyone needs a hyperdrive, everyone needs a terrain manipulator, and everyone needs a hazmat gauntlet. In fact, everyone also needs an advanced mining laser. You can't interact with like half the universe without these pieces of tech, but you're able to acquire them early on and receive constant reminders when you don't have them installed, so that's all I'm going to say on those. Instead, let's look at some installable tech that'll make your journey more enjoyable that the game doesn't require you to install, in most cases. As usual, this video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. If you find this video helpful by the end, you know what to do. So, in no particular order other than reverse numerical, I suppose, let's start with number 10, the Launch Auto Charger. Now I have to say, I'm still haunted by SkillUp's review of No Man's Sky Next back in 2018. He mentioned how annoying it was to constantly have to craft Starship launch fuel.
Let's take a look now at how it actually feels to play No Man's Sky. Land on the ground, get out, find a nearby rock, click on it, and get back on my ship, I'm now out of launcher fluid. God damn it. Okay, so I get back out of my ship. I click more rocks, click some different rocks, combine them. Oh man, I have no inventory space. I need an empty inventory slot to combine these two things into fuel. Okay, I'll just destroy this item as well. Now I can craft the fuel, take it to my ship, take off, fly back to the frigate.
And listen y'all, they sell that stuff for cheap at space stations. You don't have to craft it. But better yet, you can just keep a stack of uranium in your ship. With proper upgrades, a small stack of uranium can last you literally hundreds of hours. No crafting required. However, there's actually an even better option. The Launch Auto Charger automatically recharges your launch thrusters while your starship is parked on a planet. That means while you're out exploring, your starship is recharging automatically. If you combine it with upgrades that make your launch thrusters more efficient, like I do, you'll never have to think about recharging your thrusters again, unless you're launching constantly. It does recharge rather slowly, you see, so it's best for folks who spend a lot of time on a planet, rather than just landing, jumping out, and then jumping back in. It's also great for those times when you venture really far out from your ship, and you realize when you get, 10 minutes away from your ship that you forgot to charge your thrusters before marching off. Normally you'd be stranded, but with this tech, you're always covered. Still, I'd keep a stack of uranium in the trunk just in case. You can acquire the blueprint for 460 nanites from Iteration Hyperion on board the Space Anomaly. You'll need to buy a couple wiring looms from a trade terminal, otherwise you can craft the other components. Definitely attainable early game. Also, I would just like to say no shade to SkillUp. I love his content, he's cool. Even though he almost never mentions No Man's Sky in his This Week in Gaming. It's cool. Number 9, the Personal Refiner. Early in the game, you're required to refine a bunch of materials into products such as chromatic metal. And then later on, it's lucrative to refine various materials into nanites. Both cases are pretty inconvenient though, since they require the use of a portable refiner, or other non-portable refiner. That means landing on a planet, placing it down, charging it up, and then waiting around while it refines. And sure, you can walk around and do other stuff, but you have to return to that spot to actually retrieve your goods. It's not ideal. Luckily, Iteration Selene aboard the Space Anomaly has a solution to your refining woes. For only 360 nanites, you can purchase the blueprint to the Personal Refiner. Requiring only oxygen and chromatic metal to install, I highly recommend installing this as soon as you can. As you might expect, this upgrade allows you to refine elements in your backpack wherever you are. That means you can refine materials as you pulse between planets. You can refine on the space anomaly or in space stations. It's a real game changer, super convenient, and it even unlocks cool animations that differ depending on which backpack you have equipped. If you have the extra nanites, the Mark II blueprint is also available from Selene. This improved version allows you to refine more advanced 2-element recipes in addition to the usual stuff. And of course, I recommend that as well. Number 8. Teleport Receiver / Matter Beam. These two pieces of tech solve essentially the same problem, so I'm grouping them together. Are you tired of your exosuit inventory always being full, especially when you have free space in your starship? Don't you wish you could just, teleport your items into your ship without having to stand next to it? Well, buddy, then do I have the product for you. Introducing the Teleport Receiver. With this technological marvel installed on your starship, you can wirelessly transport matter through the airwaves. How does it work? Science, of course. Requiring only antimatter and a few wiring looms to install, it's accessible in the early game. Blueprints are available from Iteration Hyperion at the Space Anomaly for only 150 nanites. Another cool perk is that the receiver works both ways, meaning you can keep supplies in your ship and then access them remotely. The only drawback is that the range isn't great. It's better than not having it, but you won't be able to teleport things from like a mile away or anything. Once you acquire a freighter, you'll also want to install the equivalent tech module there, the Matter Beam. In fact, I would say that the Matter Beam is even more essential than the teleport receiver. It functions like the receiver, allowing you to transfer stuff between your exosuit and freighter inventories, except there's no limit on range. As long as your freighter is in the system, you can transfer items anywhere. Considering how much higher you can stack items in your freighter inventory, this is an invaluable feature. It makes exploration so much easier. But that's not even the best part. If you have extra storage rooms installed in your freighter base, like these, you can also access all of those via the Matter Beam. Look at this, all these tabs. I can access hundreds of items from almost anywhere in the universe. I can be in the space station, on a planet's surface, in my base, pulsing between planets, almost anywhere. The blueprint for the Matter Beam can be acquired from the Freighter Research Terminal on your bridge for 5 salvaged frigate modules. Well worth it, and definitely the first freighter tech I would research. Together, the Teleport Receiver and Matter Beam completely change the game's inventory management and expand your storage capabilities far beyond what you might expect when you first start the game. Number 7. Alright, this is a simple one. Rocket Boots. Once installed, double tapping the jump button will activate your rocket boots. Unfortunately, it doesn't literally put little rockets on your boots. I wish. However, it does propel you upwards and forwards pretty quickly. If you've watched my 10 essential tips the game doesn't tell you video, or just have a lot of experience in the game, you'd know the fastest way to get around on foot is the melee boost. It's pretty much the only way I get around on planets. Check out that video if you want to learn more. The main drawback of the melee boost, though, is that it only works in places where you can melee. So if you're on a space station, in the space anomaly, or playing in VR, the melee boost doesn't work, and you're stuck with sprinting. However, the rocket boots do work in all of those situations. I consider them essential since I always miss them on new saves when I'm crossing the space anomaly or the even space stations. They're so big. Trust me, once you get used to them, you'll probably never go back. Number 6. Cargo Scan Deflector. I cannot tell you how happy I was when they added this tech to the game. The Cargo Scan Deflector does what it says on the tin. It deflects cargo scans. That includes cargo scans from both system authorities and hostile pirates. Whenever you get the pop-up that your cargo is being scanned, simply open your quick menu and select the deflector icon from the utilities submenu. It should be auto-selected if a scan is active. Sometimes the deflector will fail, but don't panic. Simply try it again. In fact, try it as many times as you like. Eventually, it will successfully deflect the scan, and you'll be able to go about your business in peace, legal or otherwise. It essentially means you can skip extra space combat encounters when you're in a rush. It's great. Unfortunately, it's not an early game item. You'll need to unlock both the teleport receiver and economy scanner from Iteration Hyperion before you get the blueprint for 240 nanites. Then you'll need platinum, 2 solar mirrors, and 2 counterfeit circuits to install it. So nothing too difficult, but it's also not the simplest thing to install. Okie doke, we're halfway through the list, and hopefully you're finding the info helpful. If so, now's a good time to like the video, just saying. Either way, back to the list. Number 5, the Minotaur AI Pilot. This is one of the most transformative pieces of tech you can install. This AI pilot will take control of your Minotaur Exocraft, your exomech, whenever you're not driving, and it essentially acts as a companion bodyguard. It'll target wild predators, sentinels, and other biological enemies with whatever weapons you have installed. It's pretty impressive to watch, and it helps keep enemy aggression off of you in a fight. Acquiring the AI pilot can be done in a couple of ways. The A Trace of Metal questline will guide you through the steps of developing your own Minotaur AI. The quest becomes available shortly after you take control of a planetary settlement. For those of you on Switch where settlements aren't a thing, it triggers automatically after a certain amount of gameplay. If you're impatient, the blueprint can also be acquired from Iteration Perseus on the Space Anomaly for 480 nanites. Don't worry though, you can still enjoy the full quest if you acquire it early this way. And it is a worthwhile quest. Check out my top 5 side quest video if you want to learn more. I should also mention you can toggle the AI on and off from your quick menu at any time. It's very convenient. Number 4. While we're on the topic of Exocraft, let's talk about the Orbital Exocraft Materializer. When the game first introduces you to Exocraft, you're taught how to build Exocraft geobays. These allow you to both summon your Exocraft and customize its appearance. You can then summon that Exocraft anywhere on the planet. However, once you leave and go to another planet, you'll find you need to build another geobay to summon it again. I usually disassemble my geobay once I summon my Exocraft and use those parts to rebuild it later, but you can also carry an Exocraft summoning station with you, which allows you to summon any previously acquired Exocraft to your position. No customization abilities, but very useful. However, instead of carrying that around with me and having to install it and pick it up, I personally prefer to use the Orbital Exocraft Materializer. It's a whole buildable module that you can install in your freighter base. It allows you to summon any owned Exocraft onto a planet, as long as your freighter is in the system. The blueprint can be acquired from your freighter research terminal on your bridge for a single salvage frigate module. However, you must unlock the freighter corridor and refiner room first, so that's something to account for. Speaking of freighter rooms with cool functions, number 3 is the scanner room. If you're like me, you probably get right to scanning planets as soon as you reach a new system. Otherwise, you wouldn't know where you're going, right? This is especially important if you're looking for a particular resource that can only be found in certain biomes. However, if you're warping around in your freighter, either due to personal preference or because you have your friend with you, it's inconvenient to have to head down to the hangar, get in your ship, fly out, scan, and then return to your freighter if you don't see the planet you're looking for. Luckily, there is a better way. The scanner room allows you to instantly scan every planet and moon in the system with a single button press. Now you can quickly look through each planet's characteristics without having to scan each one individually. You can also upload them as your discoveries without having to physically land on them first. If you're an explorer, especially one who uses their freighter, you have to build a scanner room in your freighter base, preferably closer to your bridge. Like the Exocraft Materializer, you can find the blueprint in the freighter research terminal for a single salvage frigate module, after you unlock the rooms above it. Number 2. Interstellar Scanners. Whether you're warping between systems in your starship or your freighter, it pays to know where you're going. That's where scanner technologies come in handy. For your starship, the conflict scanner and economy scanner modules are absolutely essential. Having these installed will allow you to see the conflict level and economy type of a system before you warp there. So if you're like me, you might avoid high conflict systems for the most part, or if you're a trader, you might look for high-level economies. It helps you identify abandoned and pirate-controlled systems too. The economy scanner also has 2 extra functions that you can access from the quick menu while in your ship. You can scan for planetary trade posts or for market surges. Trade posts often offer better deals than space stations on trading goods. Market surges are a timed event where you can buy and sell goods at ridiculous markups. If you're looking to become a trader or simply want to make some cash in space, market surges are a pretty good strategy. Both scanner blueprints can be acquired from Iteration Hyperion for 150 nanites each, after unlocking the teleport receiver, which of course you should have already done. The economy scanner is easy to install, however the conflict scanner requires a walker brain. That means you'll need to take down a sentinel walker. In other words, you have to have seen conflict in order to see conflict, if you know what I'm saying. If you like to warp around in your freighter instead, the Interstellar scanner does essentially the same thing. You can see both conflict and economy data on the galactic map prior to visiting a system once you have it installed. It doesn't do the cool trade post and market surge scanning though. You can acquire it from the freighter research terminal on your bridge for 4 salvaged frigate modules. Now before I get to my number 1 must-have tech, I have a couple quick honorable mentions first. And also I apologize, my voice seems to be going hoarse. The first honorable mention is the Indium drive for your starship. It'll allow you to visit not only yellow stars, but red, green, and blue ones as well. Of course, you have to install the previous cadmium and emerald drives in order to collect the necessary materials first, but it's a good goal to work towards. It didn't make the main list as it's required to access certain resources needed for some very specific recipes. There are also equivalent hyperdrive upgrades for the freighter, which I also highly recommend. If you're watching this video after Worlds Part 2 is released, there might even be a purple hyperdrive by the time you're watching this that allows you to reach something else, but I wouldn't know anything about that. The other honorable mention is underwater protection. While I recommend installing protection modules for every environment, none is more useful than those for underwater exploration. That's because you can recharge your hazard protection on the surface whenever you need to. However, you can't recharge your oxygen underwater without kelp sacks, which can be in limited supply. By installing an
underwater protection module,
you can recharge that whenever you need to stay underwater indefinitely. Handy. Alright, number 1, Aqua-Jets. Like I said at the beginning of the video, these aren't in any order of importance. Aqua-Jets are a new piece of starship tech that allows you to not only land your ship on the surface of water, but also call your ship in the middle of the ocean. It looks cool, it feels cool, and that means no more getting stranded in the middle of the ocean after looking for sunken treasure. It also means you can fly straight to marked underwater locations without needing to find a little speck of land to set down first. You can acquire the blueprint from Iteration Hyperion for 240 nanites. You will need 4 crystal sulfide, which are only found underwater to install it though, so prepare for a swim. But that's it for my list of 10 must-have technologies for every explorer. I mean, I guess it was a few more than 10, but close enough. So what do y'all think? Would you consider this tech must-have, essential, or do you prefer to play without it? Did I miss an essential piece of tech that you'd recommend? Well, let me know in the comments below. It's always cool to see folks offering their experience in the comments for those looking for help. If you're new to the game, I also recommend my 10 essential tips that the game doesn't tell you video. Of course, one of the tips is now obsolete thanks to Aqua-Jets, but otherwise it's all solid advice that I believe makes the game more enjoyable. And hey, if you're interested in more No Man's Sky deep dive content, and maybe even the occasional side quest, subscribing is free and always appreciated. Thanks as always to my valued members of the channel, and to you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!